General Christopher Musa. He has accused certain individuals of attempting to sabotage the government's efforts to address insecurity in the country. He stated that these unnamed individuals are deliberately attempting to undermine the government's efforts, but vowed they would not succeed. General Musa made these remarks while receiving 55 rescued victims from the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, for onward transmission to the Kaduna State government. Victims kidnapped from their homes and farmlands in the Ganam, Sabon Lai, and Gwaga villages of Dan Musa local government area in Kastina State included 35 males and 23 females. They were rescued on 14th November 2024 by troops of the number 1 Division. Speaking at the event, Musa said, "You can see from these people, the women, the children, both girls and boys, and even the little ones. The question is, why would anyone kidnap such vulnerable individuals? These are people barely surviving," he said. Discussing the rescue operation, Musa stressed that no ransom was paid to rescue the victims released. He also called on Nigerians to support security agencies in the fight against insecurity. He said, "This was a joint effort achieved through non-kinetic means. No money was paid to secure their freedom." The national coordinator of the National Counter-Terrorism Center, Major General Adamu Laka, revealed that preliminary investigations indicated the victims were kidnapped by suspected armed bandits under the command of a notorious leader known as Jan Bros. He explained, during the kidnapping, the victims were forced to trek hundreds of kilometers to the thick forest of Bini Inquiry. Victims were provided with all necessary supports for their stabilization, including rehabilitation and medical checkups. 6 victims were admitted to the hospital but have recovered and joined to their respective families. The Chief of Staff to the Kaduna State Governor, Sani Limakila, expressed gratitude to the security agencies and urged all Nigerians to cooperate with them to bring an end to kidnapping and other forms of insecurity. Leaving Kamala, this case of insecurity is a situation that's been going on and on and on and on in the country right now, and it's more like nobody is safe, especially in the north. Like, people barely go to their farms, they barely go to places where are considered dangerous. There's no free movement anymore. I don't know, what do you have a thought about this insecurity going on? It doesn't mean that they are not safe. Does it mean that everyone have to live in fear? Does it mean that you don't have to do things to earn a living? Does it mean that you're not free to do things you regularly do? What do you have? What is your thought about this issue of insecurity?
I will continue to say that the issue of insecurity, especially in the north, has overwhelmed our security forces, our security agencies. Insecurity in the north has overwhelmed them, it has challenged them to the far end of the world, that they do not have any new ideas on how to fight these terrorist groups. For whatever nomenclature you give, whether they are terrorists, they are bandits, or for whatever name you want to give them, they are all criminals. Now, for one thing is, when I read this story, I asked myself, why should it be that the advisor, national security advisor, should be the one handing over these persons to the army general, and according to him, no ransom was paid? It was never a part of those who rescued those persons, although men under their watch, the set of Division 1, rescued the persons, and they were handed over to the national security advisor. Government has never been sincere with this issue of kidnapping. In fact, kidnapping in Nigeria has become a trade to some set of persons. It started in the Niger Delta in the late 1999 to 2001 during the reigns of Odili, when the Niger Delta militant struck, talking about resource control, the reign of Obasanjo as a president. it became kidnapping expatriates for ransom, to the extent that it brought them down to kidnapping locals. Now, it went back, somehow the East took over it when the East has its share of the unrest. Now, when this northern insecurity started, they started with kidnapping of religious sects. Now it has moved to even the commonest man in the street can be taken at any point in time. Their essence most times is not for ransom, because some persons, if you look at the story, some persons were forcefully conscripted into becoming members of their groups, especially when they are losing members. They now force the younger ones to join them. But what is the effort of the security in curbing these activities of these criminals? First, we must acknowledge that yes, they have tried, or they are trying, but I do not see that what they have done so far is enough to say that is their best.